Hi everyone. Right, well the idea for today's video really came about when I was trying to describe to one of my daughters what a vine weevil looked like um, and how she could distinguish it from other bugs that you might find in her garden. So I thought, well, a picture paints 1,000 words, so I'll make a video that she can watch and I'll show her exactly what a vine weevil looks like. So I have two heucheras in my garden, which I strongly suspect have vine weevil. So I'm going to bring them into the greenhouse. I'll pick out a vine weevil and show you, because once you see one, you'll never forget it. They're very identifiable, and you'll know what to look for going forward into the season. Um, I'll tell you what symptoms to look out for in your plants, which should make you suspect they've got vine weevil. I'll show you how you can save that plant and what you should do with the vine weevil and the soil that they lived in. Okay, so I've been pottering away all morning, taking heuchera cuttings, and I found a couple of heucheras which have definitely got vine weevil. So what I would suggest is, if you know one's got vine weevil, even if you suspect it's got vine weevil, don't put the soil on your bench. Get it onto a tray. Now this heuchera here was in one of my lovely pots in the back courtyard. And what happened was I went to dig it up to split it, and it just came out like that. And what the vine weevil does is it lays its eggs in the soil, and then it nibbles away at the crown of the plant. So if you move your plant like that and it rocks, or like this one just came away in my hand, that is a sure sign of vine weevil. Right, I'm going to try and find one for you. And you never use any of your compost again that you suspect has got vine weevil in. Once you see them, you'll recognize them in future. Right, there is one there. Put it onto the dirty part of my I'll tell you what, I'll put it on a black pot and then you'll see it. There we go. Can you see that? That is a vine weevil. So what you have to do is you have to get rid of that grub and all the soil that it's been in. So you might think it's definitely not worth it and you just chuck the whole plant, but I'm going to show you what to do. If you've got a plant that you absolutely love, you know, sometimes you buy one in a nursery and they cost a lot of money. The latest one, which was a gift to me, was a watermelon one, and that was $9.99 for one plant. So I'm going to throw this into that compost as well. You don't want any of the foliage left lying around your greenhouse or anywhere, because it could have vine weevil in it. You might think, right, well, it looks okay because it's got some roots on there, but believe me, it isn't okay. Don't just be tempted to put that in a pot of new compost and you might save it, because what will happen is the vine weevils will be right in the crown there. So what we want is, we want to get rid of these roots at the bottom. And what we're going to do is we're going to take stem cuttings. Now I've done this on lots of my other heucheras, but not because they've got vine weevil. I've done that because I want to just get lots and lots of cuttings. If you do stem cuttings, you can get sort of like 20 stem cuttings off one plant, whereas if you split it, you maybe get 2 or 3 plants. Right, so I've broken up the crown there. There's another bit there. Right. But because this plant has got vine weevil, I'm going to keep it separate from all my other cuttings that I've got over here. These are some that I took this morning. So I think this one is plum pudding. I think that one's marmalade. This was a plant that had vine weevil. So I've kept it in a separate tray to everything else, just in case the vine weevil are there. Other heucheras that I've split that had roots on, I've put in there. They'll take off no problem. The ones that I've taken stem cuttings off, these will have to be watered and they go on my heated mat. Anyway, I digress. So, right, I'm going to get rid of this soil. So I'm going to take one of these handy little trays. Excuse the mess I'm in. I've been painting away. I've been painting my new cold frames. Nice new compost. If you haven't got a heated mat, if you've got a shelf over a radiator, anything like that, because the stem cuttings won't have any roots on them, or very, very few. And the bottom heat that you give them just really speeds up that root growth, so you can have a new little plant in like a fortnight. Right, so there's the new compost. And like I say, you really have to just decide yourself whether it's worth doing this. But certainly the plant that I've just been bought, which is called watermelon, is fabulous. And if I'd got that home and that had vine weevil, I would have definitely been doing this. Right, so the vine weevils will be in this plate at the bottom there. You clean all the stems up, take all these bits off here, and then this sort of chubbyish bit round the bottom here, it looks clean, but I'm suspicious of it. And you don't need all that. You don't need all this bit of stem. So I want a nice clean cut like that. So a nice clean plate, and that's all you need. And then you just poke it into your new compost, give them a water, and off you go. Right, so this is another one here. So anything discoloured like this, it could have grubs in, and like we've said, you don't need those leaves. You certainly don't need all these old twiggy bits here. If you want, you could put one tiny little leaf on, so that you know what colour your heuchera is going to be. And there's just certain plants, begonia, that's another one, certain plants that the vine weevils love, and it's usually the ones in pots as well. So I'm going to cut that bottom off there, and that's where your roots are going to grow out of. Right. Sometimes your heucheras are perfectly healthy if you've got them in your pots or your garden. And what they do, I don't know why they do it, but they push themselves up out the earth. So you might go and they're not actually rocking, but they're sort of right up out of the soil. They've got their necks right up. There's a nice clean plate. I'm going to leave one little, no, I'm going to take that leaf off. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take all of this little bit of stem's energy downwards to make roots. And if you're doing this and you know the name of your Heuchera, stick a label in. So yeah, very suspicious there. That's a dirty end that I've just snapped off. That's probably got vine weevil in it. It's also got a little bit of root there, but I'm going to chop it off anyway. Chop that off. So yeah, if you're ever in a garden centre and they're selling off Heucheras and they look really poorly and they're rocking and they've got vine weevil, but they're sort of next to nothing, they're giving them away, don't bring them home and put them in your garden, because you'll spread the vine weevil. That's 99% sure that's what they'll have. But you could, pay 10 pence or 20 pence for a plant. I got a lot of Heucheras for 20 pence a plant last January, February. I think I've got a video out on it, and that's what they were. They were 20 pence. And what happens with sort of the Home Depots and that, they have to make room for all the new plant material that's coming in. So sometimes there's nothing wrong with the plants, but they have to sell them off. Really, they have to get rid of them, because they can't mix last year's stock with this year's stock. So look out for that. Right. Yeah. So can you see these brown marks at the bottom? That's where the vine weevil has been munching away at the plate of the crown, and that's what makes it rock. So I'm just going to cut all that off. So I've got a nice flat clean plate there. And really, as long as you keep the material that you're cutting off away from all your other, your new compost in your greenhouse, and you keep the plants away from your other plants, then what have you got to lose? You've got a lot to gain. Right. So there we go. And that in years past, when I haven't had the time, I would have just chucked that away. This was another plant which had vine weevil, and I actually threw it away 2 days ago. And then I thought, I love the colour of that plant, so I went and got it back out the corporation bin, the green wheelie bin. And I've got 6, 7, 8 little plants that are there on a heated mat. 2 weeks time they will be, let's have a look, hopefully that size. And then by the spring I'll have lots of little new plants. And out of this one I've got six lovely little plants there. But I know that these two need watching, because they have had vine weevil, but I'm very confident that I've got all the vine weevil out. Right, so I'm going to give these a nice drink and put them on my heated mat, and all of this stuff here goes into the corporation bin. You see there's a bit that's fallen off, and now I'm going to give this a nice brush to make sure I've got rid of everything. Right, so I'm going to give them a nice drink now. Wet that compost, and then you have to keep an eye on them when you've got them on a heated mat, because obviously it dries the compost out from the bottom up. And I'm going to get, even though I haven't got plants in here, I'm going to give the compost a nice water, because I'm hoping that the roots from these little ones will spread across. And I told my sister Kathleen about doing this, and she got hers done before me and all hers are up, bushy little plants now. So I'm hoping that a fortnight's time I'll come back and I'll show you how they're doing. Right, so that's nice and wet now. Right, and this is the intensive care unit for the Heucheras. So this is my heated mat on the bottom here, and these are all Heuchera cuttings that haven't had vine weevils, but I've split them, and it's so lovely and warm. It's a bit manic in the conservatory here. This wasn't planned, all these plants in here, but if you've seen my video, my greenhouse was damaged during Storm Heuchera, so I had to do an emergency evacuation of loads of the plants and bring them in here. Right. And this is usually where my baby grandson plays. It's always got lots of plants in, but not as many as this. Right, I'll have to do a bit of cleaning up there, but that's basically it. That is the heated mat. Very cheap to run and makes a huge difference. So that's it. It's as simple as that. And I would say if you love your plant, you've got nothing to lose, just give it a go. Don't be squeamish. So they don't bite. So I'll keep you updated on how these do. And until next time, thanks for watching.